Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Glue Guys podcast, episode 15. What is widely known as the Jakob Kivior episode. Chad, I feel like we actually haven't talked in a while, so on the podcast at least. So, how have you been?
Yeah, I was gonna say since our in-person episode, that was the last one that we hit them with. There was an international break last weekend. We had to go on an international break as well, even though we both stayed in Virginia. But our minds were international. That was the thing. So I'm doing good. Episode 15, I gotta say, a little bit of a coincidence because Arda Güler made his second start of the season this year for Madrid, and he's our new number 15. So, and Fede Valverde, our old number 15, captained the side for the first time. So, good day to be number 15.
I'm sure, I'm sure you did really, really good in that. What do you play on the right?
Güler, no, he played as a. Yeah, he did. He played off the right for us.
Yeah, me and Chad had a little bit of a discussion about Arda the other day. I'll freely admit that again. I know he was sort of the darling of the Euros, along with some players in that Turkey team, but just don't really know what he is. Just don't really know what he is. Kind of telling Chad, he's like an unathletic winger that isn't really a creator, even though based on his skill set and stature, you would think he would be, but he's more of a goal scorer that's not really physical or have any goal scoring attributes physically, but I guess he's going to score goals. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And you gave the Marco Asensio comp for him when we were texting about it earlier this week. And I think that's probably like what, I mean, I'm not going to say that's what he's going to be because he's 19, so it's impossible to say. But right now, I could easily see that being the type of profile that he is. And even Asensio, kind of got a bit more physical in his mid to late 20s to the point where now he can play as a false nine, pretty credibly for Luis Enrique's side. So Güler has a long way to go there, but I will say I was happy to see what he did on the right today. Was able to get involved in the game. I actually thought he brought a lot of balance to the front three with Vinny and Mbappe. Not that anyone's looking for the Real Madrid summary from the 3-0 win against Leganés, but quick question or quick pop quiz for you though. I'll put you on the spot. Who was Leganés' big incoming player this year?
Borja Mayoral.
I'll give you a hint. He was once a West Ham player and was a big deal when he signed there.
Marco Arnautovic?
No, he's still at Inter, unfortunately.
I'm about to say, that sounds like an Arnautovic move. Is it a forward?
Yes, definitely a forward.
Is it the Italian guy?
Nah.
Or is it Seb Aller?
Seb Aller.
Okay.
Yeah. He came on in the 70-something minute, and I was like, what the hell? This dude came on in the Champions League final against Madrid last year, and now this dude's subbing in for Leganés, a club that just came up from Segunda B. So, fall from grace for him for sure. He did have cancer, have to mention, but was not a consistent goal scorer.
Yeah, exactly. So he deserved it. So we got a couple of different topics we're going to get into today. Kind of wanted to play, it's not really a game, but just more of a thought exercise of looking at the Premier League, how it is right now, and deciding who's real and who's fake. We're approaching a third into the season, and we want to see at this point in the season, how the table looks, how certain players are doing. Is it real? Are the players that are performing well really good? Or the teams that are performing well really good? Or even sometimes vice versa? Are the teams that are bad or players that are bad really bad? Or are they just, on a cold streak, hot streak? So we're going to do some real versus fake in the Premier League. And then we have a couple of moves we wanted to talk about for January, which is quickly approaching, probably only about 40-ish days away, maybe less. January moves that 100% won't happen, but make sense. And then we're going to kind of steal some ideas from, we're going to do what all great content creators do and steal ideas from other people. And so we have some ideas for what are called half-baked ideas, which we're going to get into exactly what that means when we get there. And then Chad has a little bit of a quick start bench drop for us there at the end. So starting off with Premier League real versus fake. I told Chad I have 2 each for real and fake. I'm gonna start off with my like sort of sprinkled in one for real, and it's gonna be Liam Delap. I told you that I watched that United game earlier. Watched about 60 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And every single time I watch Liam Delap, I'm just infinitely surprised and pleasantly surprised with how well he plays all the time. Big, strong center forward, not like rapid, but athletic enough. Yeah. And he's a hardo. Like he's exactly what a club in the bottom half, especially in a relegation scrap, is going to need. Like, but he's basically better than that. Like he's not a Chris Wood type. Let's say he's not a Chris Wood or a Glenn Murray from way back when or anything like that. He's like he actually can play. He's just he probably didn't have enough first team minutes.
He can play a little.
He can play a little like Danny, but he just didn't have enough first team minutes under his belt for many other Premier League teams to really take a chance on him. I think it ended up being like 20 million from City.
Yep.
So like that's kind of a steep asking price if you're asking a club like a Fulham or a Bournemouth or even a club like Palace, who probably in the summer probably felt like they didn't need a striker with Mateta's form at the time. So,
good point.
So he's been doing really well for Ipswich so far. 6 goals and 1 assist in 12 Premier League appearances. I think it's 6-1 now in 13 appearances now after that game. And he's got those 6 goals on 2.4 xG. So that shows how good of a finisher he is. He's been scoring some worldies. And now, I'm not saying that outperformance is going to continue. I'm not expecting him to almost triple his XG for the rest of the year. But even if he ends the year with, if you multiply that XG by 3 and he finishes with about 9 XG, if he finishes with like 12, 13 Premier League goals, I think that'll be a very, very good season for him. And I was also looking at his numbers. He's also a really good dribbler and ball carrier. He was in the 82nd percentile for like progressive carries and like 87th for dribbles completed or take-ons. Yeah, so he's really one of those weird players that's like a good central dribbler where he's able to get away from like defensive midfielders and center backs. And so he's really, really impressed me both with his physicality and technical ability. I think he's going to be a really good player. And I joked with Savannah as we were watching the game how much it was going to piss me off when City buys him back next year as the Julian Alvarez replacement. He scores 10 goals in the league and wins it for him.
Yeah, I gotta say, I like Delap a bit too. I really like when he kind of makes that outside run to the wing a lot, where
Gets in that channel.
Where he's able to isolate himself against maybe a slower center back, and then he's actually able to beat a lot of those guys, kind of like what you said about the take on and the progressive carry numbers. So he has a lot of well-roundedness to his game. The thing I would worry about, like you said, though, is just how much he's outperforming XG at this point.
Fair.
The expected probably is more to do with, tries to tell the story of projecting the future more so than telling the story of what's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, all strikers, even at good clubs, so especially at a relegation type side, is going to go through a dry spell. So it's just a matter of like, what's he going to look like when he comes through, that dry spell, or is he able to, while he's not playing well, still nick a goal here or there? And then you said, end up at that 12 to 15, which I think would be, great for a guy who's playing for a relegation type of team.
Yeah, and just very quickly for our listeners that might not be familiar with exactly what XG is, it's basically taking your locations of your shots and kind of applying a likelihood that they will go in. So like a shot from like the halfway line would have like a .001 XG because it's almost never going to go in. Whereas a shot from like on the goal line is going to have like a .9 XG. And so how XG kind of like as a stat kind of gets created is you add up the expected goals based on those shot locations. You add them all up to see what is the likely, like this player should have X amount of goals based on the amount of like the kind of shots that they get. And right now he only has 2.4. So he's taking shots from either weird areas where he's not getting a lot of shots, but he's still converting a lot of them because normally really, really good forwards will outperform their XG. It kind of is a more recent thing, so I would love to see the numbers for players like Messi and Ronaldo in their prime and their XGs versus their actual goal output. But, players in the recent memory, like Human, Son, like Harry Kane, people like that tend to really, really overperform their XG and can get like 20 to 22 goals off of like 15 XG, which is a sign of a great finisher if you're able to do it consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said the magic word consistently because as you kind of mentioned when you talked about maybe 20 million being a steep asking price for him in the beginning, this is his first year playing at the top level where he's proving himself. So that's where that's where I say it's nice to have that XG or that good differential, compared to your XG right now. But what's it going to look like as we get further along into the season, further along into his career? But overall, I'm a fan like you. So,
right. So what's your first reel? I think you said you had more of a surface level one as well first for your first reel.
Yeah, I think Nicholas Jackson is a Champions League level striker. I just do. Like, I don't have all the same numbers to back up the way you were just so eloquently using, but I watched their game against whoever they played, Leicester. And look, by no means is Leicester in a situation where, like, all right, someone's proven themselves against Leicester. But if you saw the goal that he scored in that game, it was just a textbook Nico Jackson type of goal where he's harassing Wout Faes, who had the ball in possession. He's harassing it off of him, and then he's able to win possession and actually have a really nice, composed, calm finish, which I think is what he's added. Not obviously fully. Like, you don't just all of a sudden overnight go from being not a good striker not a good finisher to becoming a great finisher. But he's slowly begun to put some different types of shots into his shot locker, like into his bag, basically, where, all right, he's got, I know, I hate to use the term bag, but
I know that's all you care about is bag.
Yeah, the bag and who's got the original smile. Those are the only two things that matter. But yeah, I think because he brings the goal scoring at a high enough level, combined with he brings all the other stuff, like he brings some link up ability. He's a really good presser. He's a bitch to play against, kind of like what we talk about with Havertz, like for Arsenal. Yep. Is he going to be a guy who's going to guaranteed get you 25 to 30? No, but when you really look at the striker market right now, like there aren't any guys like that in the world besides Kane, Holland. I don't even know who else. Like, maybe those two are the only guys who you could say, yeah, they're guaranteed going to get 25 no matter what club they're playing in. So this quest for, Chelsea being as guilty of it as anyone, where they're linked with every single striker that's hitting the market basically for like the last 18 months.
When I looked up Liam Delap on Google, literally the first thing that said, welcome to Chelsea, Liam Delap. Like he didn't just move 3 months ago.
Yeah, so Chelsea will be forever linked with every single striker, Osimhen, Gyökeres, all of those guys. But like, I think they have a guy who I'm not going to sit here and say is going to be like going to win you a league or going to be this or that. But I think for a Champions League side, which is what Chelsea realistically could be this year, I think he is a quality striker for a Champions League side.
Yeah, I think that's fair, especially because I think him and Kai Havertz I think that's a good sort of comp, not exactly in the way that they play, but it's just the fact that they have things that they have things other than just, hey, this guy scores a crap ton of goals. Because, I mean, shoot, even with Holland, even though you mentioned his name, that was a big thing, that big sticking point for people for his first year or two in the Prem was like, yeah, he scores the goals, but can he do this? Can he do that? And like that, for some reason, that like idea of that perfect striker that can get in behind, come short, can, take players on and get the goal scoring output. And like, I guess your Luis Suarez, what I guess would be your most complete striker in the more modern era, where he was great defensively in pressing. He could get the ball to feet. He could run in behind. He could score any type of goal. Great finisher. That whole kind of thing. Even Harry Kane, people have questioned his like athleticism and stuff like that in the past.
Yeah.
Guys like Lewandowski, those would kind of be the big three of like the past half decade maybe, where you would think, those are like real complete strikers.
Benz?
I mean, even Ben's, like, how many years did he actually do it for? Like 2? Where he was like a legitimately complete forward and scored a ton of goals and was really good. Like he was
That's
like
fair.
that for like maybe 2 or 3 years. So I mean,
Fair.
was he? I mean, he was never even France's number 9 over Giroud.
What are you talking? In the Euros, he was Euro 20.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was one tournament, and for the most part, they're focusing their play through Ben or through Mbappe.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. That nigga Ben's was still solid.
Okay, but yeah, that's a good shout, Nick Jackson. I really like that. I haven't really watched him too much this year. I was kind of telling Chad before the podcast got started. Now I'm actually able to keep up with stuff now that my soccer coaching is done for the fall. I'm excited to actually really deep dive into this and watch every game every weekend and get pissed off by people that I think suck that people think are good, which is always my favorite part of really any sport, but soccer especially. Why don't you give us your deep dive for Premier League real versus fake? You have another real, correct?
I do. My other real is I think Nottingham Forest as a top half side. Like they are a legitimate top half side to me because they're comfortable out of possession. They're a team that's comfortable playing on the counter. They've built their team that way. They have a goalkeeper in Matt Sells who's playing out of his mind this season. I think he's already like stopped like 3 post shot expected goals this season. And he solved their goalkeeper problem that they've had since they've came up. They had Dean Henderson on loan for a bit. They bought Matt Turner. They bought who was the other guy that they bought?
I mean, they had Vlachodimos in for a little bit.
Yeah. Vlachodimos, and then they bought Sells. They bought a new goalkeeper every window for like 2 straight years. So
Every window, not even every summer, like literally every window.
yeah, because Sells was brought in last January.
Yeah.
And then they signed some dude from South America in the summer. So
Yeah.
but he has brought some stability to them. You kind of mentioned Chris Wood earlier as more of a limited type of player. I agree with you. I think he's obviously going through a hot or a purple patch, I guess, as they say, right now. So I'm happy for him for that. But at the same time, you're not going to be able to bank on it.
Mm-hmm.
Got to find goals from other areas. I think Alenga can provide some. Not going to sit here and act like he's going to get you 10 goals, but if he can contribute 5 or 6, I think that's realistic. Gibbs White, when he comes back, that's the impressive thing is they've been able to do this with him, missing a handful of games so far this season. So I'm excited about that. I actually think against maybe some of the lesser sides in the league, like they can be able to be in some situations where they can play Gibbs White and Elliot Anderson together as part of that midfield 3 and really control possession against certain teams and be able to create chances. So they can play in a lot of different ways, and I think all this talent they've kind of accumulated over the past 2.5 years is really starting to pay off for them. So I like what they're doing, and I think it's going to, prove to work out for them this year.
Yeah, obviously, I got to see a decent amount of them yesterday against Arsenal. I saw basically the whole second half of that game, and I mean, judging a team like Nottingham Forest, like a team that's just going to be happy if they finish in the top half on like how they do away at the Emirates isn't fair at all. So, people that are like, oh, they were third and now they had like 2 results go against them and now they can't be, up there anymore. I mean, a good season for them is going to be a top half finish, and I don't think those 2 results are going to kind of undermine that. So, I mean, kind of like going along with even how like Leicester won the league or how Sheffield a couple of years ago ended up in the Europa League space, like sometimes just having a team that's really well drilled and has those individual parts that make it dangerous. Like you said, Gibbs White on the counterattack, Chris Wood just finishing things even on set pieces, corners and free kicks. James Ward-Prowse to put in those corners and free kicks. And then even guys like Awoniyi who like in a spot start or off the bench is like a really, really difficult person to deal with. And then those like rock at the back type players like Murillo and Milinkovic, along with your boy Matt Sells. I mean, it's a good group, especially a group that will know that like we don't have to go out and play this expansive football. We can sit in and have 35% possession and still be very dangerous from there. And so, I don't know if I'd agree with them being a real 100%, but I mean, I definitely don't think that they're going to go from where they are now to getting like roped into the relegation scrap or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, when I say top half side, I'm not sitting here saying they're going to be 7th and they're going to qualify for Europe. I'm saying like if they're in the 9 through 12 range, which I know that's maybe a little below top half, but like kind of in that range of teams, I could see that being a realistic type of season for them so far. Because the thing is also, and I hate that we're kind of being a bit XG heavy maybe so far, but I think that kind of has a lot to do with real and fake because it kind of gives you evidence outside of just
the results.
A hot streak here, yeah, a couple, maybe some good finishes, maybe you gave up some royalties or something like that. Like, what is it actually saying? And Forest are performing pretty much exactly like how their numbers have them. So that's what I think could be an encouraging sign for them, even when they do go through maybe some sort of dry spell or some sort of tough patch, probably, in the month or so coming up, because it's not like they have an insanely deep squad.
Yep. That's a good point. I guess I'll kind of pivot over to a fake that I have because it goes along with what you just said. And I just said Chris Wood, like 8 goals so far in the league in 12 appearances. He came off the bench yesterday against Arsenal. But to me, it's just a hot streak. Not saying that the Forest themselves will fall off without his goals, because I think his goals are probably more of a byproduct of what they've been doing rather than like, oh, they've just been giving the ball to Chris Wood and he's just doing something crazy. It's like, no, they know what they are, they know their system, and then they've been able to execute it best with him so far. But there's no reason why Awoniyi or, Morgan Gibbs-White won't go on his own little hot streak, which he tends to do every season now. So, yeah, Chris Wood's a bit of a fake to me, but, that's not indicative of Forest's season overall. But the one I really wanted to get into was Brighton. Brighton currently sitting in 5th.
That's so crazy. I have them as a fake.
That's awesome.
So we're about to go head to head right now.
Yeah, so they're in my real for the simple fact that right now as 5th, I kind of look below them. I don't see anyone that I feel really great about. Like starting from 5th, below them are Spurs, Forest, Villa, Newcastle, Fulham. That's kind of the group that's just below them in those, and they're all separated by a point. So they're all just basically in that same little group right there. And I just don't feel great about any of those teams. I mean, Spurs, obviously, with their result yesterday, people are going to talk about them like they're something that they're not. But I'm still not convinced, not even particularly by Ange, but just by like the way that they play with the players that they have. Like, I'm just not going to sit here and pretend that James Madison's going to score a brace every week.
I think they're starting. I think for the most part, Ange is starting to figure out how to use their midfield in different types of games, which is the one thing that I really do like from them.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. They're not. They're still not consistent enough for you to fully believe. No doubt about it.
Yeah. So I don't believe in them. Forest, like I said before, I believe in them as far as like top half team, but not someone that's going to challenge like up as high as 5th, like Brighton.
Yeah.
Villa is, I guess, the one that's like. That could, do over Brighton in my mind. And now that I'm looking down the table, I'm kind of seeing where Chad's coming from because I know he's actually his team in the league. He's probably, counting on to shoot up the table starting here in a second. But Man United, again, I'm just not overly convinced by. I mean, me personally, speaking as a person on the outside, I'm Amarim out. Okay, after their performance today. Like, I feel like you can't keep him in the job. I feel like you got to give Ruud an opportunity. Just pay whatever severance package they set up, and just give Ruud the team to the end of the season, and then I guess go after Kieran McKenna.
Can I just say real quickly on United, like I hate this shit that goes on in the media. It's honestly just as bad as the Lakers in the NBA or the Cowboys in the NFL when you really look at it. Just because, and it honestly might be worse just because I think they go through turnover at a much higher rate than you do in American sports a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole build up from Amarim, where when he took over and he did all the press conferences, did the media round tour and all that stuff. He did the interview with Gary Neville. Man, he wore a Montclair jacket when they announced him.
He's media trained. He knows he has that swagger that you need to do a club like United.
It's like, man, he said they're going to change how they let players go on holiday. Shoot, he's going to change the whole club. And it's like it's really the same shit with United because when Ten Hag first came in, all the same shit was being said. He was talking about
He's laying down the law. He's not letting the players run the club anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man, he's training them real hard. And then by the time it was about to be Ten Hag out, what were you saying? Man, the players are getting injured because he's training them too hard. He's not getting them any rest. So it's just the same stupid shit where if it works, then we're praising them for it. And because you don't have the results yet to either justify what Amorim is saying or to go against it thinking it's stupid, everyone's just eating it up crazy. Pause, no Diddy. But it's just so stupid. And I like Amorim. Like, I really do like him. As you joked, I'm damn near a Manchester United fan for whatever reason. So clearly, for whatever reason, I care about it. But it's just so stupid to me. And I'll give him this. I was going to ask you, I might not even give him till Boxing Day to keep up with the back three because that's just how it is where, you come in, you play your system for 2 games. I mean, the same thing happened with Ten Hag.
Yep.
He came in, tried to play like a 4-3-3 with like 2 more advanced midfielders and 1 holding guy. And the holding midfielder was going to be like a ball player.
It was Eriksen. When he first came in, it was Eriksen with Bruno and like I don't even know who the hell else in front of like McTominay in front of them.
McTominay, yeah. It's like we're going to be super possession, all this and then he plays 2 games, loses both, and then it's like, all right, Casemiro, come on, just sit in front of this back four with a double pivot with someone else. And we're going to play on the counter for the next 7 months. And look, it got him third, so you can't argue with it. But it's just the way the endless cycle at United, where as soon as you have 2 bad results, then all of a sudden you have to change up your tactics.
Yeah, and this is why when we got Don on about the Man United rebuild, why it's so hard to do those because it seems like every manager for the past decade is like, well, these are the 3 things that they need to do. And then once they do these 3 things, then it's going to magically solve the club. And then a manager comes in, does all 3 things, and then 5 new things appear out of nowhere. And it's like, well, this player's career's turned to shit, and this person just decided I'm not going to train hard anymore. And this person had the best 6 months of all time, got a contract extension, and quit. And just like stuff like that. So we're kind of joking about Amorim. But anyway, back to Brighton. I don't really buy any of the clubs below them with any real zeal at all. I'm not really feeling them. And then also just the way they've been able to win. Joao Pedro has been clearly their best player, and he's only played half of their games. Like, he has 4 goals and 2 assists in 6 games, and he hasn't really been. I told Chad like a couple, like probably over a month or so ago, I'm like, I mean, the fact that Herzler can get Danny Welbeck Premier League goals in 2024 just shows how good of a coach that he is. And then they consistently recruiting and develop high-level players, not only from like their transfers and like getting weird guys from Belgium or Austria or whatever, but even like within, like who's that guy, Matt O'Reilly, that scored against City the other day? It's like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Oh, I don't know. He's just gonna come in and score the winner against City. I don't know. Okay, cool. Oh, who's this guy, Jack Hinchelwood? Yeah, we got him from some God knows where, and he's just gonna be our starter.
Ursula loves him.
He finds a way to get him on the pitch every week.
Every game. Every game.
And then, so they're conceding a bit too much, but I think they've conceded 16 so far. Yeah, they conceded 16, which is, funnily enough, the second most out of that top 7 behind City. But I think that their attacking threat is good enough, and even like they're conceded 16. It's not like they've conceded, 3 goals a game or anything crazy, and they're just outscoring other teams. Like, they still have a decent defense. And also, I feel like in January, they're either going to do one of 2 things. They're either going to, their players are either going to take that step up, or they're going to find some other gem from outside of the league. I just saw them linked today with some guy from the National League, which is the English 5th tier, a guy named Owen Esseni, for 200,000. And it's just like, would I be shocked if he scored 5 Premier League goals this year? No, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. Like, it's literally creative players, and they're still going out there and consistently just developing these guys and making them better and better. And it looks like a lot of their best players have a lot of room to grow. So, I mean, they still excite me. They've actually excited me so much that I've come around on Chad's boy, John Paul Van Hecke. So,
Not my boy, definitely not. But that's the thing. I think I really like the players that Brighton have. I just don't think the performances to this point have matched how we feel about those guys as individuals. And yeah, it's great that they're sitting fifth right now on the table, and Hertzler obviously has done a really good job so far to start. But I just worry, like we talk about with all teams, like what's going to happen after they lose a couple in a row? Like, how are they going to look after that? How are they going to feel after that? Are they still going to be expansive? Are they still going to be pressing super high? How are they going to respond, especially with a younger type of team? So,
well, I think the two things that they have going for them as far as that is that one, they have, crazily enough, Herzler can kind of ride off the coattails of De Zerbi and Potter, where like the club and like the support, like the people within the club and the supporters kind of understand like, yeah, like this is the way we play and it's kind of been working. So even if we have like a down spell or a not so great spell, this is how we've been playing for basically the past 4 years, and we're just going to continue it. And we're going to kind of like what's happening with Leeds near the end with Marsh, where it was just like literally until they brought in that ridiculous Allardyce signing where they gave him like £1 million to manage 4 games. Like before that time, everyone was just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to play that high-tempo Bielsa style. And then Marsh came in. It's like, yeah, we're just going to play that up-tempo Marsh style, and we're just going to live with the results. And they have a similar thing with Brighton. And also, Brighton is not a huge club. Like, even though they've been a part of the Premier League for, I think it's their 7th season since they've come up, they still aren't like one of those clubs that's going to be like, if we finish 14th this year, then we want this guy out. If we finish lower than 8th this year, then we need to blow up the whole system. So that lack of pressure kind of allows managers and players to just be like, you know what, I know we haven't won a game in a month. It's okay. We're just going to keep doing this thing, and we're going to keep chipping away at it. And then when they start picking up points again, then they're going to continue to play that brand of football where they're super exciting, but also able to really execute in a way that's going to lead to those wins. That's why I believe in Brighton. I think sometimes being a smaller club kind of benefits sometimes because you don't have that pressure on you to win every single week.
Yeah, you don't have to win no matter what.
Yeah, which is my theme song.
That's good to know. We need to get a sample of that for the intro to the episode.
Yeah. So what's one of your fakes? I need a fake. There's too much positivity going on right now.
Yeah, my fake is
you already said Brighton.
I'm going back to Chelsea actually for this next one. I don't think Noni Madueke should be a guy who plays 77% of the league minutes on the right wing for a Champions League side. I think Madueke's fine. He's a good player. Can definitely be a rotation type of option, as a guy who can start 15 to 20 games for you. But I don't think he's a 35 starts every single time he's healthy, first name on the team sheet type of guy. What's?
I'm confused though. It's Mandem FC, isn't it? The Chelsea, I think so. I already don't like Chelsea as it is, and then the whole Mandem FC, they have 4 black guys, so now they're the blackest team in the league. That whole kind of thing is just kind of like pissing me off. So I'm down to hate on Noni, who I think is a pretty decent player. He's just like I was this close to putting Chelsea as one of my fakes because there's some people I've heard like saying like it's a 4-horse race for this title and stuff like that, and I'm just like,
well, those aren't real people though. I'm sorry, no one real is saying that. Those are just Chelsea fans.
Yeah,
who watch one team.
Which, as I've learned as an Arsenal fan, even if one of your fans says something stupid, then it applies to all of you. That's what I've learned as an Arsenal fan. So, I mean, it's just, yeah, I think Noni's a pretty good player. I just don't think that he's going to be one of those guys that, like you said, is going to be a consistent starter. But, I mean, do you think they have that guy internally right now? Like, do you think it's a Pedro Neto, or do you think it's something that they're just going to have to improve on either in January or in the summer? Which is hilarious that they still have to. They spent like £2 billion, and it's like, man, where do they need to strengthen, or is it Mudryk?
Well, it's definitely not Mudryk. But funnily enough, I mean, they've got Kendry Paez and Esteval Willian coming in the summer.
Which
So
I'm in
and
on Kendry, but he's more of a 10, a true 10.
yeah, and look, a lot of people are in on Esteval. I mean, he's been getting some Brazil call-ups recently as
Hmm.
well. So, he's on that path of guys who have been real. He's on the same level as them at this age. So, not sitting here saying that means he's gonna. Either one of them are going to be a guaranteed starter next year. But like, if you give them maybe 5 to 7, 8 starts, something like that each, then all of a sudden it's like, well, if we bring someone else in and we have Nane, then we're looking at like 5 guys, which Chelsea is not oblivious to at all because they have that right now. But I guess maybe a little more creativity with maybe could Nkunku get a start off the right for them? Could João Felix play on the right for them? Neto, I think, is actually just way more comfortable playing on the left.
Hmm.
So I don't think it would really make a ton of sense to play him on the right wing, which is why I never understood this signing in the first place. But whatever, him and João Felix both is like we got to get these two done before the end of this window, so we have 2 guys who kind of could play on the left or who want to play on the left and can kind of play on the right. So
Whenever I see Pedro Neto play on the left, a part of me dies.
on the left, see, I actually think he's better. He's been better for Chelsea on the left. So,
I just remember him at Wolves, and I was just like, dude, when this dude would play on the right against Wolves, it was
but
just
I think it's a different role now. Like
because he was like a
Wolves,
he was a goal
yeah,
scoring winger. Now he's a creator for sure, but it's just
yeah,
something in here, just because he like I just love his smile and just like how he played so free. So that's why I
yeah.
kind of missed that.
But there's even rumors of like, Nkunku, could he be looking to move in the summer and stuff like that? Like he's been linked with United for like 2 weeks for whatever reason. Um, which I don't know how many Chelsea guys United has to sign before they're like, all right, finally,
Mason Mount
let's
had a
sign.
really good cameo today. I think he touched the ball.
I mean, just him touching the pitch for him for the way he's been the past 18 months or so. That is improvement.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so Madueke, fine player. I think he's really had like 3 good performances this season, but that doesn't justify he should be starting every single game.
I mean, yeah, going back to Wolves, he had, what was that, a hat trick against Wolves or something weird like
Yeah,
that, where they won like 6-2, something ridiculous.
yeah, and he scored 1 goal outside of that, and it's not like it's all just about scoring goals, but like when Maresca says, "Oh, I want my wingers to play a certain way," and then it's like, "All right, I want Madueke out there." Like, yeah, he's nice when he's doing good, but like, what is he actually bringing to the team on a
Yeah.
game-to-game basis?
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
couldn't tell you.
Yeah. So,
So.
did you have another fake or?
No, that was really it that I had for fakes.
All right,
Um,
because I have one more fake that's going to get me in a lot of trouble, but I don't. I'm just going to call it like it is. I'm trying to, be a little bit more of a true analyst now, and really just if I see something, I'm going to say it. And I just don't think Liverpool is
Saka
real.
fake.
I just don't think
Saka
Liverpool.
fake.
Saka actually has 12 goal involvements this year in 11 games, but that's neither here nor there. Um,
You said Liverpool fake though. I need you to expand on that.
I just don't think they're going to win the league, which at this very point right now is considered a fake because they're currently 9 points clear with a game, or sorry, they're currently 9 points clear, I believe, and 8 points clear. And I just don't think they're going to win the league. Again, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Just because one Chelsea fan says something doesn't mean that it's true of everybody. But I've now seen that, like, oh, since City lost that game, like, the title race is over, that kind of stuff. And it's just like, again, this is where I can disparage myself as an Arsenal fan and be like, I've seen this before. I've seen not new manager, but like, new system. We throw it in and it's really hot and we're great and we're the best team and we're beating everybody and blah, blah, blah. And then you kind of look up and it's like, I mean, I compiled a list and then it's like, oh God, we still got to go to the Etihad. We still got to go to the Bridge. We still got to go to Villa Park. We still got to play we still got to play at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We still got to play at the Amex, and we still got to play the Merseyside Derby away, which they always make a mess of. Even if it's not a loss, they always make a mess of that Everton game, home and away. So I'm not going to just sit here and pretend that that's an easy one. I mean, that's like one, two, three, four, five, six of the hardest grounds in the league to go to, and they haven't gone to any of them. Much less the teams that have had good seasons so far that they haven't, played away yet. Played teams like I think they played Forest, but I think they played Forest at home. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and playing like Fulham, play teams like that are just tricky and can pick you off. So I think by average position they've played the easiest schedule so far away. Like they played the easiest away schedule of any team so far. Which, again, not saying that I know they picked up the draw at Arsenal. Ha, laugh at me, I get it. But the fact that you don't have to have a stretch where it's like you go to the Etihad and then you go to the Emirates and then you go to Villa Park, like in 3 straight away games. They haven't had that kind of stretch yet, but they will. And until they get like a big, I know that Allison missed a little bit of time, but they haven't had like a Salah injury or like Van Dijk misses a month, or even Gravenberch, who's been very good for them, misses 2 months with something weird. I just don't think that they've had like that adversity yet in the season, either with their schedule or with their injuries or with, just a couple of weird results going against them. I don't think they've had that yet to where I just think, this team's definitely going to go on and win the title. And I honestly don't really think they're going to finish in the top 2 either.
Okay, yeah, saying that you don't think they're going to finish top 2, I think would probably be a bit surprising for most people. I think the thing to worry about is, a lot like what you said. The biggest thing to me is what happens if there's a center back injury, because Konate and Van Dijk have played every minute at center half except for one half that Worrell Quansah started in the opener, I believe it was. And was so bad that you literally haven't seen him since, which isn't fair to him because he's like, however old he is. But
he's probably like 23, but Liverpool fans are going to treat him like he's 17.
That's that Lingard. Media generator. But
he's 21.
So not even that young. But the thing is with Konate, he's a guy who gets injured every single season. So at some point he's going to probably miss some time. Does that mean you go to Joe Gomez? Do you go to Quansah? Like, I don't think they have a direct replacement that Arne Slot feels amazing about. Hence why those two have played every single minute for them in the league and Champions League.
Right.
Because I think in a perfect world, you're not playing a 33-year-old Van Dijk every single minute of every game. You're not playing Konate, who, as we just mentioned, has injury problems every single minute of every single game. And
even going back to my Arsenal example, the first year we challenged for the league, it was the same thing. It was like,
no injuries.
Yeah, it was like, Gabriel and Saliba played every single minute, and they haven't conceded at all, and da-da-da-da-da. But it's like, and then Saliba's going to get hurt in a weird Europa League tie, and then he's out for the rest of the season, and who are you going to play next? Are you going to be able to still win the league with Quansah and Konate playing center back? Like, probably not.
Yeah, that's why if I had to see them strengthening like in the winter, and we know it's not a huge market type thing, but if they were super serious about this title push, which I think they should be, they would need to sign a real top level center back in January. So
yeah, and even like the slot effect, where it's like, as much as we try to pretend that this isn't a thing, like when 3 results in a row don't go their way. Like, what's going to happen to Slot? Like, when is... I'm like, he's not a super diva, but, like, is Mo Salah just going to be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, we just lost 3 games in a row. I mean, we've even seen Salah had those kind of bust-ups with Klopp.
Yeah, Klopp.
And it's like... Or Van Dijk, he's a huge alpha character. And it's like, when's he going to be like, why the hell are we playing this person? Or blah, blah, blah. And not just saying it from a standpoint of, like, they... are going to do that, but it's just like, it's very, very possible, because we saw those things happen under Klopp, not with any type of consistency, but they did happen with Klopp. And now if you have a guy like Slot who has nowhere near the cachet of a guy like Klopp, could it happen to him? Of course it could. So I'm just kind of wary of them. I just don't think they really have they're not going to be able to consistently keep this up for 38 match weeks, which is my favorite part of the league, and why I love, teams being able to win the league so much. Because, Champions League, it's kind of like, hey, we had, a good, once you get to the knockouts, like we had a good 2-3 months. And then once you get into, winning the league, it's like we were really, really good for 9 months.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I've actually come around to your thinking of it as well. Because at first, obviously, in Madrid, I'm going to value, you know, Europe and those type of
Yeah.
competitions a bit more. But the consistency that it takes to win the league, I think, is pretty unmatched. So
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And so that was kind of our real versus fake. Let us know what you think. I mean, for me, for my reels, I had Liam Delap and Brighton. Chad had
Nicholas Jackson.
Nicholas Jackson and Forrest. And then for my fakes, I had Chris Wood in Liverpool. And then Chad had Brighton and Noni Madueke. So Chad was coming pretty hard for Chelsea. So, he's been thinking a lot about them the past couple of weeks since, the international break.
I'm telling you, they've just had this weird spot, this weird hold on me for like 2.5 years as like the most entertaining side to follow, both on the pitch and off the field for like the last, probably even longer than that. Like probably since Tuchel, well, really since Bowley took over. I mean, they've kind of had that. So yeah, about 2.5 years.
Yeah. So we wanted to move on to some January moves that 100% won't happen, but they do make sense to happen. Now, kind of the idea behind this is like there are some moves that you can tell like this is going to happen. Like this could definitely happen. This could definitely, be a thing. But then now there's some that's like, man, this is something that, this team needs this, and this team could really use this player in this spot of need. However, they won't go for them because of status reasons or because of the price tag or because, ownership or for whatever, or because of the position of the team that would be selling them. There's a whole bunch of different reasons why this move could conceivably not happen. But we would think, this player, this team, boom, they go great together. So did you have one off the top of your mind, or do you want me to start off?
Yeah, I'll just go through mine kind of quicker because mine I'm not necessarily married to, and I'm interested to hear yours.
Mm-hmm.
First one, Douglas Luiz on loan to Leverkusen. His move to Juve has honestly been horrible. I watched the full 90 between Juve and Milan yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Luiz didn't sniff the pitch, but that double pivot they play of Locatelli and Kefren Turam,
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's no chance that Luiz is going to be able to find a way into that double pivot. I think
Right.
Turam he was man of the match in that one. He's like, have you ever watched him like for a full 90?
Kefren Turam?
Yeah,
I think I watched him once for France.
it's honestly crazy because he's got the Morgan Rogers build and dribbling ability,
Right.
but then is also like a full on defensive midfielder at the same time. It's kind of crazy. As you can tell, I was pretty shook by that performance. But only 2 starts for Luiz since he's moved to Juve. Obviously it was like a huge transfer saga the whole window where it was like first McKinney's going and Ealing Jr. and then it's Berenchea and all this weird. I still have no idea what ended up even happening.
I was literally about to ask you, what was actually the final move? Like, what was the final transfer?
I know it was Ealing Jr. and Enzo Berenchea, but then I think Juve also paid like $35 million.
Well, somehow, some way, that's only the second worst Juve swap deal of the past half decade.
Well, the Arthur Maryland Pjanic one was
just equally horrible for both teams.
Yeah, I was going to say that one's a little bit more defensible because both were horrible. I actually saw a report where it was like Juve would consider letting Arthur go for $15 million in January. I was like, dude, I don't know if there's a club that would pay €1 at all to get that dude. Like, I didn't even know he was still there.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool has kind of been. It's kind of funny because I remember his move to Liverpool, and I was like, dude, Liverpool has kind of been taking chances on like weird, like washed midfielders like the past couple of years. Like not when he got them, but like they had like Thiago and Arthur, and I think they had someone else on their team like at the same time where it was just kind of like a weird. Who was it?
Endo.
Endo, yeah, but I mean, I don't know, it was somebody else where it was just like a really weird, just like why is this dude at the club, like all at once, and it was just like,
Was it when James Milner was still there?
Well, they had Jimmy Milner. Well, they had those two guys we just said, James Milner and Wash Jordan Henderson, on the on the team all at the same time. So it's just like, what is even going on?
Yeah, like, can you get a midfielder in his prime? Which, funnily enough, I mean, now that's exactly what they have, a midfield three of guys who are all young / in their prime. So
yeah, even Bajcetic, who I hope is getting his form back at Salzburg. Obviously, I don't watch too much Austrian Bundesliga, but I'm hoping that he gets his form back, because what he was doing as an 18-year-old for Liverpool, I thought was really, really impressive. Yeah. So hopefully he can get back to that form. Not hoping it for Liverpool's sake, but hoping it for my sake as a football fan.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good shout. He had a nice 2 legs against Real Madrid that first year when he broke out. But Luis, I think the reason why Leverkusen makes a lot of sense is Ezequiel Palacios has struggled a little bit this year for Leverkusen, and granted, Xhaka hasn't been quite as consistent as he was last year.
Who would have thought?
I was going to say, when he had the best season of his career at like 33. So no one could have seen that coming. But I think the thing is, Alex Garcia was supposed to be able to be a supplement to those guys, or a rotational option, I guess, for those guys. I don't know why I said supplement.
You tried your best.
There's going to be a B12 vitamin somehow. But he was supposed to be a rotation option. But I think Xabi Alonso is just more comfortable playing him further up the pitch, almost in that front three that they play, in that attacking constellation, as Derek Ray calls it. So they need someone who can be more stable, a little bit more reserved. I think Luis's biggest downfall is his athleticism. But I think the thing is, when you're playing in the Bundesliga, if you are playing in a certain type of way, which I think he'll want to play as a ball-controlling midfielder, a guy who can keep possession for the team, then that'll actually make a lot of sense, because Leverkusen have a lot of windshield wiper type of games. Like, they like to get up and down. But if they can bring some control, maybe that'll allow them to stop dropping games in the last minute that they're dropping this season for whatever reason.
Which is funny, because that was the way that 90% of their games went in the opposite way. Especially by the end of last year, where it was like, they're losing in the 91st minute, but they're going to find a way to score 2 in stoppage time and win.
Yeah, I mean, the funniest memes ever were like Leverkusen versus Real Madrid in the Super Cup, and it was like no one would score for 90 minutes, and then it'd be like 3 goals each in stoppage time.
Literally, the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my entire life was that Rodrigo brace against City. It was just like, and I loved it so much, because I've been a Rodrigo defender for like years and years now. Like, when he first joined Real Madrid, obviously I didn't know anything about him, but I watched him like a couple times when he was like the 18, 19-year-old range for Real Madrid, and I was like, I feel like this dude's like really good. And then obviously Vinny started to explode, and he's kind of been forgotten about, especially now that Mbappe's at the club. But now I'm just like, he's not that good for 50 million. Do you want 50 million for him?
50.
Well, it's like fucking imagine that. But it's like,
no, I think plenty of teams would line up to pay 100 for him. Honestly,
who?
Chelsea would do that deal tonight. 100%, no doubt about it. They would do that deal tonight.
But haven't they shown that they're not in the market for spending 100 million on one player anymore?
Have they shown that?
I think they have. In like the past year. Like ever since they bought Enzo. I mean, not Enzo, Caicedo.
Yeah, I was going to say they bought Caicedo. So you're saying the last 2 windows they haven't bought a super... I mean... Yeah, I guess, but...
They've just been taking $30 million chances on all these weird, like, hey, you scored 5 goals in the championship. Here's $30 million.
I mean, shit, Pedro Neto was like 70. So
that was from within the league, and at least proved himself a little bit in the league, despite his injury problems.
Fair. I don't know. I just feel like they would spend it. I feel like City would spend $100 million on Rodrigo.
That would kill me.
So, yeah.
Well, no, Savinho's really good. I don't know if you know that.
All 0 of his goal contributions.
Well, no, like the way he like gets after players. Like I'm so glad that back-to-back years now they've had players that literally contribute basically nothing to their team, but I have to hear about how good they are all the time. Because last year it was Doku's the best dribbler in the history of America, not America, in the history of world football, but yet he just can't score a goal or get an assist. Well, technically 3 years in a row, because then you got to add Grealish to it. It's Grealish is actually the most important player in Pep's treble-winning system, but he just doesn't score goals or get assists as an attacker. Oh no, Doku, he has actually changed in the game now. Like, they have a dynamic winger. They have someone that'll get after people. He just can't cross, shoot, or pass. And now they have Savinho, who he's really good. He gets after people from the right now. He just doesn't dribble. He just can't shoot, pass, or cross either. So that's really, I can't imagine why they can't score. I can't imagine why Haaland doesn't get any service anymore.
And Phil Foden, don't think we forgot about you. You're just playing in the middle. That's why we haven't said that you're ass.
No, I forgot about you. That's how bad you are. I forgot about you. Like, it's kind of crazy how within 12 months it shifted from Saka and Saka Foden comps to Saka Palmer, and Foden's just like a guy now.
Yeah. There was like that one 6-minute crossover period.
Or all three of them, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was probably Euros time frame. But then as soon as the season started this year, Foden was taken out of those conversations.
I think literally as soon as Cole Palmer scored that goal in the final of the Euros, it was just like, oh. So it's really just Palmer and Saka that are at that really, really elite level, and then Foden is. I don't even think Foden's bad. I just don't think he's as good as I've been told about how, him winning Premier League Player of the Year last year was a joke.
Yeah.
But
should have been me.
I mean, shit, it could have been anyone other than his ass. But January moves that won't happen. All right, so one of these I came up with kind of watching the game today. I was kind of infatuated by yesterday, I was kind of infatuated by that Forest team. And I think Harry Maguire for Forest would just be like a really, really cool addition to their back line if they had a back three of Milinkovic, Murillo, and then Harry Maguire would just be a freaking bastard to play against, all three of those guys at once. And on set pieces it would be dangerous. They have a long throw as well, throws, corners, free kicks, and just completely lean into that. We'll let Gibbs White and the Chelsea player Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, we'll let them run. We'll let two of those guys at a time. We'll let them run in the attack and swing balls into Chris Wood. But other than that, we're just winning fouls and throwing balls in the box.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Ward-Prowse to Maguire on corners would get the streets talking, no doubt about it. That's not bad. I mean, the funny thing about it, though, is with the level that Forest defense has been at this year, do you think Maguire would be? I don't know if he would be guaranteed to play enough to make that move. That'd be the funny thing. I still think Maguire's actually been decent. He's been decent for United the past 2 years. Once people stop looking at him as the most expensive defender ever. Yeah,
it's just that. So they played a lot of 4-2-3-1 this year, and I just think long term it's not really going to be that. I think I could see them actually in a 5-2-2-1 kind of, where they have two sitters in front of two sort of inside forwards, again, a guy like an Elanga and a Gibbs White, or a Hudson-Odoi and a Gibbs White, where those two underneath Chris Wood or Awoniyi will just kind of be able to roam free and do whatever they want, and then two of Dominguez, Ward-Prowse, and then Yates can kind of just be those holding guys and just kind of break stuff up. Ryan Yates is awful, but he's he gets booked every single game that he plays, so it's kind of impressive to me. But
he's budget John McGinn,
who's I have my own thoughts on John McGinn, but I'll keep him to myself for right now. But I
think get fired.
I just think that Harry Maguire. I think if they want to continue, like you said, we were kind of saying earlier, I think it's just lean completely into that. We sit in, we don't attack at all, really, but we'll maybe score a few weird goals on the counter attack because we have pace and power in those guys I just mentioned. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea. I don't think it'll happen because of kind of based on what you said. Like they're not going to pay it. Probably Forest aren't going to be like, hey, we have, $35 million to spend in January. We're going to spend it all on Harry Maguire. And that's all, or a majority of it on Harry Maguire. And Harry Maguire is going to come in and he's going to be a guaranteed starter. I don't think that's going to happen, so I don't think that the move would happen. But I think it makes sense for both Forrest and obviously Harry Maguire, who's really not going to get a sniff, especially if they go to this 3-4-3. Although that's where a lot of his successes come for England. I don't think you can have him and De Ligt as a part of that back three and have any type of success because you're just going to get ran by any team with competent wingers.
Completely agree with that point on Maguire and De Ligt playing together in the back three. I think there's no chance you can get that done. But yeah, Maguire. I mean, like I agree with you that he would actually be a really good fit. Like the more I'm thinking about it, but again, the only issue is like I don't think he gets in. Definitely doesn't get in over Murillo,
And definitely not to keep playing this back four.
Yeah, exactly. Now he is used to being in more compact defensive systems, like I think what Forrest would be playing in, more of a low block type of guy. That's why I think you've seen struggles from him at the top level. When he's playing for a team that's trying to like press and shit. Like there's no way he's
Doing
gonna
something
fit
stupid.
that. Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, why can't Harry Maguire defend 1v1 from 50 yards out? It's like, oh. We've only seen it for his entire career.
Which I'd like to apologize to Harry Maguire because I bring up Rodri and Casemiro all the time for guys that should just start the game on a booking.
With the yellow.
But Harry Maguire, I don't understand because, every couple months you read that story. It's like, actually, Declan Rice is suspended for this game because he's had 5 yellow cards. And so, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I don't understand how Harry Maguire, even in the limited amount of minutes he plays, doesn't get booked every single game and is suspended constantly. Because he gets booked, like literally every single time. Yeah. Every single time anyone touches the ball past him, he's just like, "No, I'm just going to grab you by the throat and throw you to the ground. I'm sorry, goodbye." Yeah.
No, it is fair. And I think the thing is he establishes it at such a high level in the beginning that, like, by the time he does it for the 5th time, it's like, oh, that's just what he does.
Well, he's also smooth as hell with it. Like, he'll grab the dude by the shoulder, throw him to the ground, and then pick him up. Yeah, pick him up and then just get back going. And it's kind of like, oh, that Harry. David Coote or whoever's like, oh, that Harry. There he goes again. There he goes.
David Coote won't be thinking that anytime soon.
He's kind of a Prem legend at this point, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But another move that I had that I thought would make sense was KDH back to Leicester on loan.
I can't tell if that's for real.
No, I'm being serious because I saw Leicester yesterday line up with and they've done this a lot this year, which boggles my mind. Ndidi at the 10. Ndidi at the 10. It's just like even Ndidi, like to me, his prime was kind of like that 2017-18 kind of range when he first kind of emerged as like the Conte replacement that they had been searching for, where he was just like a real bastard defensive midfielder, just constantly hounding and harrying everybody, and hounding and harrying
Cowboys.
Hounding and harrying. Dude, we were up 10 points with a minute 40 left and the ball. And they just tied it. But they
This is why I don't watch football, by the way.
But yeah, to me, Wilfred Ndidi is just like a break things up defensive midfielder, and for some reason he's playing like the 10 for Leicester.
86 yards. Yeah. I'm sorry.
It was literally one play. Like they got the ball with 33 seconds and no timeouts, ran one play and scored a touchdown.
Extra point, no good.
That'd be scenes. But
he already missed it.
Are you serious?
Yes, 100%. Hey. Oh my god.
Damn, he missed the shit out of it.
He had no idea it was coming.
Oh my god, he hooked the shit out of it, dude.
Sorry. Sorry for the podcast, guys.
I'm not sorry. This is great live reaction stuff.
we're dropping everything. Do you actually have the game? You actually watching it right now?
I have it up, and it looks like they're zooming in on the punter, so it might have been. Oh, it's a bad snap. Bad snap. But he did get it up and get the laces out and everything, but it was a bad snap. Damn. So let's see. I mean, if they get this onside kick, that would be the most cowboy shit of all time. But
I was gonna say I don't know if we can even continue talking until after the onside kick.
Nah, but yeah, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, I just think is gonna fill that sort of gap where it's like, what?
No, Leicester just need to do something because they're horrible. I mean, they fired Cooper today. I honestly think that they have a really, really good chance of going down if they don't make some serious moves. Like, and not even just one guy, but like, you know, they lost Fatawa too for the season. Who, you know, I didn't even realize, but he's completed the most take-ons of any guy in the Prem this year.
That's so relegation side.
Yeah, exactly. It's the classic Zaha /
Willie Nanto.
Yeah. Willie Nanto. God, that was awesome. But yeah, so it's just
Just for the record, I'll give you one guess as to who fucked up in cover 4 for the touchdown.
Gotta be Dig. Jordan Lewis.
Yeah, come on now. You knew
your boy.
You knew that shit was gonna be it. But yeah.
I was gonna say Terrence Newman, but I didn't think he was eligible.
Orlando Scandrick.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
This podcast has gone completely off the rails. We apologize, but not really.
You know what we're doing? Or you know what we are, right? We're in the barber shop talking about... Dude, we just took the onside kick back. What? This is literally the craziest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Just took the shit back.
So here's the crazy thing. Does that actually...
No, that doesn't increase our chance of winning at all.
I was just saying, does it work for Washington? Because now Dallas has to go for 2. And then it's like, okay, so they kicked the 1, so now they're still only up 8.
Did they kick the 1?
Yeah, they did.
That's
so it's a
dumb.
1-possession game. God, this is... Maybe we should just do this more often, just like live podcast.
Dude, we need to one time tell every, like, all of our friends, like, hey, we're gonna live stream
both of them.
Yeah, we're gonna tell all 3 of our friends, like, hey, we're about to live stream the Cowboys game and just see like how ridiculous this is gonna get. I don't like that my YouTube TV is 30 seconds behind for some reason, but
it's all good. It's all good. I think we're basically wrapped up on the January moves at this point.
Yes, definitely. I'm down for some more fun. We're feeling laid back this week.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go with some half-baked ideas.
We got some more structured episodes coming up in the next couple weeks. So we decided for this one, we're like, you know what? Let's kind of have a hodgepodge. You know, your influence for your dressing style in 5th grade. Type of episode. So,
yeah, let's just go out and talk about some sports and just have some fun. That's what it's all about,
exactly.
isn't it? None of you idiots are paying us anyway, so we might as well just have fun with it. I'm just kidding. I love you guys.
I was gonna say, if you want to pay us, though.
Yeah, we're setting up the Patreon page as we speak.
Not mad at that. All right, half-baked ideas. Let's get into it.
All right, why don't you explain to the people what the concept of a half-baked idea is?
Well, half-baked idea is something where you look at it and maybe you look at the idea on the surface and it's like, oh, you know what sounds great? X. Haven't really thought of like how it would happen, what would be the implications of it happening, really even fully how you would make the idea work. But just like, you know, I remember one of the all-time best half-baked ideas in elementary school, I used to think it would be a great idea if you had a pencil that was also a churro. So that way you could just like eat a snack while you were doing your work.
But then you get into questions like, well, how would you make it if it's a churro? Like, what's the core?
Exactly.
And it's kind of like, I don't know. I just think a pencil and a churro would be a good idea.
Yeah. And at the time, I was probably like 9 or 10, so it was a lot easier to have a half-baked idea and much more explainable at that point. But now I think it gets a little bit more fun as you get older because you can understand that it's half baked and still just kind of have it live on almost in like a separate world. So,
Yeah, because then you don't have to. It's like having an idea without having to explain it. It's like the opposite of what we do for our actual show. It's like, oh, why do you think Liverpool is fake? Oh, reason A, B, C, and D. It's like, oh, why do you think a pencil and a churro can go together?
I just do. Because I'm hungry and I still got to do homework.
Exactly.
That's the full reason. So
what's your first half baked idea? I'm so excited to pick this apart and just hear it in general.
Well, for mine, I kind of teased them with the same. Like for me, my half-baked ones were the ones that I was telling you about as far as my start, bench, drop, and then my kind of three-way comparison. Because while they're not, they're not like, these are more like half-baked sports topics where could it be an entire section of Get Up? Absolutely not. Could it be a full segment? No. But I want you to start, bench, or drop these 3 COVID sports changes. Okay. These are changes that happen in sports that we care about that really happened because of COVID.
Okay.
5 subs in soccer.
It's a great one.
NBA play-in tournament.
Okay.
College football realignment. Start, bench, or drop.
So clear start is 5 subs. That's easy.
100%. It's a tough one between the next two.
I'm gonna go. So what was it? Realignment and
college football realignment, and then the NBA play-in tournament.
I'm gonna go alignment drop, and this for this key reason. Okay, because I think. And maybe one of the this is like a half-baked idea in response to your half-baked idea. I think maybe one of the reasons that it's hard for young kids to get into certain sports things now is because a lot of the tradition is lost. For me, as a kid growing up, I was like, okay, the ACC, like X team has to be in a certain location because they're an ACC team.
Yeah,
absolutely. South Carolina. It'd be nice if you named an ACC team, you idiot. Clemson. Where's Clemson, Ethan? I have no idea, but I know they're probably south of Virginia and east of Georgia. They're somewhere in there. Purdue.
Wake Forest probably was a perfect example.
Yeah, like especially the schools that aren't named after the state. Like it's like, Purdue. Yeah. Where's Purdue? It's like it's probably like between Pennsylvania and like Nebraska. It's probably like in that little area right there. Where's all the Pac-12 schools were all named after.
Yeah, I was gonna say Pac-12 is tough.
But like even the Big Ten schools, like where's Texas Tech? No, it's like where's Baylor? It's like where's Baylor? Yeah. It's like it's probably like south of Nebraska and like in between like New Mexico and Louisiana. It's probably like in that just little like south central part of the United States. I think that the going away with realignment. I mean, shit. If you ask a kid right now, like, hey, you have no idea where Stanford is. Where's Stanford? Based on their conference. Shit. They're in a conference called the Atlantic Coast Conference, and they're literally on the Pacific Ocean. So we may never know.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, I still because I didn't even I'm famous for not really being a college football guy unless LSU have a chance to win anything. So of course
which is why I used to love it so much, late 2000s.
Yeah, exactly. But going into this season, when someone said, "Yeah, the ACC could be tough," I could see SMU and Stanford maybe handling some losses. I was like, "Wait, run that back? What? What conference are we talking about?" Yeah, and so the college realignment. I think it's the drop, but I don't know, man. The NBA play-in tournament, I'm going to make the case
for it being a drop, not a start.
Yeah, for it being a drop, because I think the 5 subs in soccer is the start every single time, and I want us to touch on that one real quickly because when it first got introduced, people looked at it as, oh man, the best teams are just going to be that much better than the rest of the pack because
they're deeper, they have a better bench,
And you look at it over the past couple of years, and I'm not saying this is solely the reason why, but look at Leverkusen winning the Bundesliga, Villa, Newcastle making it in the Champions League the last couple of years, Brest going to the Champions League last year. Napoli winning the league in Serie A a couple years ago. Like really all the movement you've seen in Serie A over the past couple of years. Like all of this, and I'm not saying it's 100%, I said again, because of the 5 sub rule, but there's still a level of parity that it creates because I think it gives the opportunity for certain players to maybe show more.
For young players, it's incredible.
Yeah. It gives them more of a chance to grow and all that type of stuff. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that now we're seeing all these 16 and 17-year-old guys kind of coming up where it's like, okay, you know, their 16-year-old season, they maybe made 5 or 6 appearances in the back half of the year because you were just carrying them on the match day squad for whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to justify giving a guy like a Ethan Nwaneri minutes when it's like, well, I don't know, I got to get on Gabby Jesus and I got to get on Jorginho, and I actually have to make like an actual tactical change for some things. And so, but now it's like, okay, I made 2 tactical changes. I've gotten 1 or 2 guys minutes that I want to get minutes. Sure, I have a leftover sub. Let's put on the kid.
Absolutely. So
I want to hear the case though for play-in being like the drop.
It's the Ryan Russillo argument, really, where it's like, hey, you played for 7 months, and then it's going to come down to like one game or one elimination game, and a lot of times it's been unnecessary because it's just, hey, the 7 beats the 8, the 9 beats the 10. And then the 8 beats the 9. Like usually the only suspense there is, unless there's like a major injury for like the 7 seed, is that 8 versus 9. Like that's the only time anything really happens. You know, and maybe the 10 is won a game or 2, but like for the most part, and ultimately the real thing is none of it ever ends up meaning anything.
That's what I mean. Like the only time it's going
besides the Lakers.
Yeah, the only time it's going to mean something is when a 1 seed has like an injury. Like I'm not saying this specific team, but like if the Nuggets were to like get the 1 seed in like a week before the end of the season, Jokic just like, I don't want, again, knock on wood, but like Jokic just tears his ACL. It's like, well, then you have the Lakers as the 7 seed, and it's like, oh shit, like we might as well just lose this first game, and then, you know, Bronny, you're gonna start tonight in the 7-8. You're gonna start tonight in the 7-8 game, so that, you know, hopefully we can get, you know, the Nuggets in the first round, whose best player is a Jamal Murray that hasn't stepped up for 3 years or whatever. So so I do see that, because also like no one cares. Like, sorry. Let me take this back. No one besides Patrick Beverley cares. All right? Because again, everyone knows it's like, okay, we're watching a couple games to see who's going to get knocked out in the first round. Like the only success story of the play-in was, like you said, that Lakers team that made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, and that was a clear. And by the way, newsflash: the Lakers still would have been in that year anyway. I'm pretty sure. They would have. I
think they just were the 7 seed. Yeah, well, either one, but yeah.
Yeah, like they would have been in it either way. So I don't know. And then the weird thing was, like, the whole reason it came about was the bubble, and then Portland was able to sneak in that year against, and they were getting momentum, and it was like, man, Portland could give the Lakers some trouble. And it was like the Lakers won the series in 5, no problem, no doubt about it. So that should have told us right then and there that, hey, this thing should just stay the way it is.
Yeah, so Miami and LA made the conference finals each in 2023, but they both would have been in anyway, so it's not like Chicago as that 10 seed, like, we're like, oh man, they went on some amazing run where they barely got in the play-in, then they won the play-in, then they made to the whatever round. It's just like,
all right,
the teams that are going to be in are going to do well. The teams that shouldn't be in, but.
And that was what Chicago was the 10 seed 2 years ago, I think, and made the playoffs or something like that.
In 23, they were the 10 seed and they got to the second play-in game.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. And the thing is, they clearly built off of that last year when they were an absolutely horrible team and a dumpster fire. So
then
clearly it showed that it was important.
Well, it's funny you say that, because then they showed up the next year as the 9 seed, won the first game, and then lost to Miami again in the 8 seed game. So
yeah. There you go.
So
shout out to them.
Yeah, it's impressive. So, but
the Bulls and the Lakers are the poster boys for the
play-in. Right now. Yeah, I really like that start bench drop. This just Like the soccer more subs, I think, really only has upside now. But the thing is that I don't like, again, just like little quick tangent, I just don't like it when people try to pretend they don't like change. Because the only ones
Champions League format.
Champions League format. Oh, well, we've had this format for. It's like, no, we haven't. No, we haven't. Look at the night. Look at the.
It's been like 10 years.
I'm about to say, look at the Champions League format in 1998, when apparently the game was the most pure it's ever been. It was not this. Okay? The reason it's called the Champions League is because it used to be only league champions. So clearly you don't want it to just be the Champions League, the traditional format, all that stuff. It used to be just a knockout tournament. And clearly you don't want that. I mean, just the amount of times that the NBA or the NFL or whoever will like present something and it's like, oh, we're going to change the kickoff. Well, that's stupid. Oh, we're going to add a play-in game. Oh, well, that's dumb. We're going to do an in-season tournament. That's stupid. And then people turn around and it's like, hey, why is viewership dropping? Because you guys don't want any innovation. It's just like, NBA has been the exact same for 10 years, and no one's watching it now. Let's keep it the exact same and see if we can just market better, I guess, is what people say. Oh, we're not marketing young stars. I've seen that damn Anthony Edwards Sprite commercial 5,000 times in the past week, so I know it's not just marketing.
No, that was a great rant, and I completely agree. But at the same time, that's an interesting argument because it's almost counter having any of these three be in the bench or drop because they're all kind of in that innovation. Although I would argue the college football realignment.
It's not even innovation. It's just like
just greed.
Yeah,
it was just greed.
Yeah, so, it wasn't like, oh, well, people want to see West Coast and East Coast teams play, so we're going to make some. It was just like, no, we're going to whoever's going to pay us the most and make us the most money. So.
And honestly, funnily enough, you could argue the NBA play-in is just about greed, too, because it's just being able to sell 6 more games that are kind of like to have a playoff atmosphere so you can sell the tickets for playoff prices and get away with it, and the viewership for playoff prices.
Yeah. So that's a good half-baked idea. I have one.
Give me yours. Yeah, give me your first one.
Sunday, Super Bowl Monday as a national holiday. Everything shut down.
I don't think there's one guy. You know what's crazy? I say I don't think there's one guy, but really I think girls care a lot more about Super Bowl, maybe the party aspect, than the actual game part.
It's so
I
interesting.
think a lot of people are with it.
It's so interesting, like the cultural phenomenon is, because like you said, obviously, we'll say men, but really just sports fans. Obviously, everyone's on the Super Bowl. Even if you haven't watched an NFL game all year, if you care anything about any sport, you're like, I'll check out the Super Bowl. Hell, at this point with like all the London and the Munich games, I'm sure people across the world now are like, oh, I watched that one game where the Jags played the damn Giants in Munich, but let me check out the Super Bowl.
Let's watch some good football.
That's what I'm saying. Let me see what the good teams look like. So like there's that aspect of it, but then like Chad said, like there's the cultural aspect of it. There's the what celebrity showed up to the Super Bowl? Oh, who's performing at halftime? Oh, what new movie's coming out that's dropping a 90-second trailer during the Super Bowl? Oh, who's the best halftime commercial? Oh, what like old athletes that's dating a new celebrity are going to be there? And there's really, since it's a single game, it makes it so unique from really other American sports. Like NBA, it's like, wait, they just played the NBA Finals and now there's another game in 2 days? And then there's another game 3 days after that. What's going on?
Yeah.
How did these teams get here? At the NFL, it's like these are the seeds. They won 1-1, and now they're in the Super Bowl. And it's one game. It's tonight. It's over. We don't have to explain how series works. And if you win 4 and the other team only wins 1, then you've won. Even though there's technically 2 more games, and networks don't have to plan out for 5 or 6 or 7 different games. They need to just be like it's all. So that cultural phenomenon, I think, is something special that, weirdly, is maybe the most patriotic thing that we have left in America. Is everyone being like, you know what, Super Bowl Sunday. Everyone knows what that is. People that have never played, watched, heard of a sport before knows at least the idea of what the Super Bowl is. And I think, kind of to pat the country on the back and be like, hey, at least we can agree on this thing. You know what? Let's have Super Bowl Monday off.
Yeah, I mean, God, I really would. I mean,
because here's the other thing that's bull is like the game run. Like if we have a West Coast game, the game runs until like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then it's like, hey, dude, see you at work in 6 hours.
Yeah. So if you're going to a party, and you're like, all right, we're a real party. We're watching the whole game. We're doing the full thing. You're not getting home till probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. For the most part.
And then, like, if it was a good game, you're still kind of jacked up, and it's like you got to settle in and do your whole night routine, and you're not in bed until like 2, 3 o'clock, and then it's like, hey man, see you at work at 7. It's like,
I think Black Friday basically becoming a national holiday at this point has created the opportunity for that to actually be real. Like 20 years ago, I would have said no way. And also, I think the Super Bowl has turned into something different over the past 20 years as well, anyway. But I really think with Black Friday basically becoming I don't know if it actually is. I mean, hell, on Microsoft Outlook, it has it announced as a national holiday. So I don't know. But with that being the new bar, I think you could argue for it, and I'm not against it.
yeah, it's
for all the reasons you said.
yeah. So that's one. And then my second half baked idea. This is literally something I've had like floating around.
That's actually a really good one. I can't lie.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not mad at it. You might have to you might have to write a letter to Congress or something.
Yeah, I'll have to lean on that patriotic angle a lot and be like, hey, this is something that brings us all together. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's a perfect. Patriotic. Hey, by the way, we also get to watch the Super Bowl and enjoy having.
It's like 4th of July in winter.
Yeah, it is. 4th of July.
It's like we have the day that America was founded, and then 180 days later, we have what America's all about: getting fat as shit, drinking beer, and watching football.
That's good. That's good. I mean, God, you could honestly maybe get that passed. Because here's the thing: any candidate that's running on that platform is getting elected.
They're like throw it in like their speech on like November 1st, like the last speech, like last rally they have before the actual election. They're like, and I plan to have Super Bowl Monday as a federal holiday, and everyone's just like, and that one person hasn't paid any attention is like, I'm voting for the guy that won Super Bowl Monday.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with that.
So,
give me your next one. You're hot.
This one has been flowing around the back of my head for the better part of a decade now. And I've said it to a couple people a couple times, and they're out for the most part.
Wait, have I heard this?
I believe you have, but I'm not 1,000% sure. A lot of people are either out on it or say that it already exists, but I want to make it a bigger thing, and that's taking two of my favorite foods and combining them together, and that's
I'm with
and that's ice cream filled donuts. Okay. There's a lot of history of like hot foods and cold foods going together and becoming something truly great together. Like hot fudge on ice cream, putting ice cream on hot cake. Like really just ice cream and hot stuff.
I was going to say
ice cream and hot stuff is just like that kind of, combination. So I think donuts could be it, especially like because obviously there's jelly filled and cream filled. I just think if you take like a donut that's like this and just make it like this, fill it with ice cream, so when you bite into it, you kind of get that. Ooh, man, like it's got a little bit of cold, but it's also warm. That kind of a thing. I think they could have a deep market for that because you can really do anything with it. You can have the blueberry donut with it, with vanilla ice cream. You could have like a cinnamon donut with a.
This is putting you on the spot extremely, but give me two like donut combinations with ice cream in them you would want to see.
Okay, here's what you're not ready for this one. Okay, so you have the ice cream with like caramel drizzle in the middle with a cinnamon donut on the outside. Okay, so it's like a.
So what flavor ice cream are we talking though?
Just vanilla ice cream. Vanilla? Just vanilla ice cream. All right.
Is all of these just vanilla ice cream? Or?
No, it's gonna be like a build your own type of situation.
Just making sure. If it was just vanilla, I would have been out.
And then you have like chocolate ice cream with like a strawberry donut, little like chocolate covered strawberry, but the like literally a chocolate covered or strawberry. This one's a strawberry covered chocolate. Yeah. So it's like the opposite.
We got there.
Like I just think there's unlimited potential for it because the ice cream scene is you can kind of have any flavor with it, and then donuts there's kind of unlimited flavors too. So it's like unlimited flavors. You have that one weird person that's like, yeah, I want chocolate ice cream with my, I don't know, with my French toast,
I was gonna
cinnamon
say,
crunch donut, or like I want blueberry ice cream with like a chocolate donut or something like that. And I just think people can really get creative with it. I will freely admit, my only downside with it is storage, because
yeah,
there's
you have to kind of eat it immediately.
correct. It has to be something that's like. That's where I think you can get kind of like a Duck Donuts feel to it, though. It's like we don't really even have made donuts. We kind of just wait for your
what do you
order to
want?
come in, and then we kind of make it in front of you, which even adds another sort of cool part to it. You know, people like weird stuff like that. Where it's like, man, I watch them make my donut, and then I watch them like they just have a whole bunch of fried donuts that are being made, and then they just kind of like stuff it, season it, or whatever you call it. Fucking put they make it. And it kind of adds a little something cool to it, where it's like, man, I'm making that donut. Or it's a self-serve.
Ooh. So they like.
So it's like a
make the
froyo,
donut.
where you like grab a hot donut,
So you're almost thinking like a donut bowl more so.
or like a donut bar, but is mainly serving ice cream with. So you like grab your donut. There's like a whole bunch of donuts that are kept hot, okay, that just have like a big ass hole in the middle, basically.
Yeah.
And you're just like all right, I want this ice cream. You go up to the little thing, you go and you have like your sprinkles with it and your caramel sauce and
I tell you, I think a donut with vanilla sprinkles, like a white icing, vanilla sprinkles with birthday cake ice cream in it, I feel like would probably hit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and the person can do whatever they want with it. Literally, if there's someone that's like, I like it super saucy, so I'm just gonna, or someone like, I don't really like too much ice cream in it, and they just put a little dab of ice cream, and then they take the sauce and they just they came out and they just busted in our mouths, and we just had to take that on our chin, eat it up, and then.
No, I'm thinking a cinnamon roll with salted caramel ice cream in the middle might actually go crazy.
And you're doing it yourself. You can either stuff the shit out of it, no diddy, with ice cream and just have it so you're like barely fitting in your mouth. Or you could do it where you got like just the mini donut, and then you just got like a little bit of ice cream on top, and you're just like, you know what, I just want, you got different sizes and stuff.
You're almost like dipping it in the ice cream. You're dipping like a donut hole in ice cream.
Exactly. Oh, and then we could do donut holes with ice cream too.
Yeah.
I'm saying, ideas got potential.
Look, I like this idea. I think the biggest problem, like you said, is going to be storage, and then also, like, what's the ideal temperature for the donut to be at? Because you can't have it too fresh, or else it would just, like, kind of melt the ice cream. But you also don't want it too cold, because you don't want to be eating, like, a stale donut. So once you figure that out, I think you're actually golden.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, like, obviously you make the donut, and then it's in, like, a warming station, like you said. So you can literally grab it. Probably not, because, people are dirty. But, you could conceivably grab it with your bare hand, but it's still like, ooh, that's pretty warm. And then you can do ice cream, and the ice cream's still melting a little bit, but it's not just like instant.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. I'm with that actually 100%. I feel like that's already out there, but I don't know what the. No, because I gotta say, like, maybe it's not full mainstream. It's definitely not mainstream the way you're talking about it. So I'm with the whole customization, all that type of stuff. So I am 100% in. I am 100% in. You've actually come up with two really good half-baked ideas. So very American, both of them. Adding a holiday for absolutely no reason, and then giving us two things that are already fattening and putting them together. That's what America is really built on. So I love it.
I have to apologize. This is something that I discussed with someone, I think, two or 3 years ago. Okay? So you know how they bastardize Mexican food at, like, Taco Bell, where it's like, you go to a real Mexican spot, like a burrito or something that's on a plate, it's, like, covered in stuff, it has stuff on the top, everything like that. And they've kind of bastardized that in tacos and stuff like that. So they've done that with Mexican food. They've done it with Chinese food, where you have stuff like panda and stuff like that, rather than, like, an actual, like, Chinese dinner. Okay?
Okay. I'm with you. I'm here.
fast food Italian. Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's what I thought you were going.
That's when you can get kind of weird with it. Stuff that where you hear it, it's like that's stupid or that's disgusting or whatever. But then you compare it to again the bastardization of those other foods, like a calzone that's filled with like spaghetti and meatballs.
Dude, I swear to God, I was just gonna say that. I swear to God, I was just about to say
like
that.
Like a calzone that's like
so there.
That's either you can chop up the spaghetti into like more like chop like edible pieces, or maybe you can have like those weird like small noodle things like SpaghettiO type of noodles or some sort of like spaghetti and meatball calzone. So again, it's still handheld, but it's just like you still get that spaghetti and meatball.
Maybe even throw a chicken parm cutlet in there.
A fettuccine one where it's like fettuccine but with the Alfredo. Like, come on, like y'all need to give me some. Like, this turned into Shark Tank.
Sir, you're basically talking about the best level of a Hot Pocket possible.
Like yes, it's like Hot Pockets with real Italian foods in them, not just like, hey, this is a pizza, but we're gonna put it in a pocket. Yeah. It's like we're actually putting full on Italian foods. Like you said, you have the chicken parm one where it's literally just chicken with probably like a layer of Parmesan cheese on it with stuff with marinara sauce. Boom, that's one of them. Then you got the spaghetti and meatball one. Then you got the fettuccine
Alfredo. Yeah.
Maybe you can throw some chicken in that fettuccine Alfredo one. Stuff like that. Or maybe it's just the chicken and the fettuccine. And you have a dipping sauce that's your Alfredo dipping sauce, and you can kind of make it anything you want. You got vodka dipping vodka dipping sauce. You got the
or just vodka.
You got the fettuccine dipping sauce. You got the marinara dipping sauce that you can kind of do anything you want with them. You can order something more traditionally that's like pizza, where it's like a calzone stuffed with cheese, and you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to take this, dip it in the fettuccine sauce. Hey man,
no, I'm really with that. I'm really with that fully. That's a really good idea.
So
I like that. I liked it. Those are actually both so good. Like, well, really all three, I guess, were all so good. Like, we might need to have these half-baked ideas more regularly.
Yeah, I kind of like it having my creative juices flowing for it, and it kind of one idea stacks on top of the other, and you're able to kind of either poke holes or fill holes in the other person's idea, where it's like, oh, what if they did this with it, that kind of a thing. So
yeah, no, perfect.
Really enjoyed that. So that draws to a close our 15th episode. A lot of rambling this episode, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked it when we're able to just kind of flow about different things rather than just being like, hey, this is the section where we only talk about real or fake for the Premier League. This is the section where we only talk about, this or that. I really like us being able to flow, but, really it's all about you guys. So what do you guys want? Do you guys like it when we're more into flow? Do you like it when we're more structured? Let us know. Do you want to see more of a balance where we're still sticking to structure but able to kind of go from topic to topic? Please let us know. Again, we're still very, very new at this. I know it's 15 episodes in, but we've only been doing this a couple months now, and we're more than open to any type of criticism, any type of suggestions, any type of half-baked suggestions that you guys have for us. So without any further ado, we appreciate you guys listening. And we'll see you guys next week for episode 16.